One of the more interesting topics in gaming that is usually taken for granted is aspect ratio. Aspect ratio is the proportional relationship between the width and height of a display. There are many different aspect ratios like 4:3, 16:9, and 21:9, just to name a few. There was a time where 4:3 TVs and monitors used to be the standard. While there were some displays that used a widescreen aspect ratio like 16:9, it only really started becoming standard with flat-screen HD TVs. This transitional period from 4:3 to 16:9 was very messy for gaming, with some games getting it right and others completely botching it. Let's take a look back at the common widescreen issues that plagued games during this period. Of course, the most common issue is that many games didn't support widescreen at all. You could have games released in the same year, one would work with widescreen and the other wouldn't. On a widescreen display, the 4:3 picture should be displayed with black bars on the left and right, but sometimes it would stretch that 4:3 picture across the whole screen. This would in turn distort the proportions of the image, failing to give a proper widescreen picture. There was also other times where a game would support widescreen, but not on every platform. This happened with games like Juice 2 and Need for Speed Carbon, where they ran at 16:9 on consoles, but were restricted to 4:3 on PC. There is also a lesser known aspect ratio that isn't 16:9, but was still considered widescreen, 16:10. Juiced and Crash Day have widescreen support for 16:10, but not for 16:9. This is definitely better than having no widescreen support at all, but can still cause a bit of stretching of 16:9 displays, as there is still black space on both sides. When games had widescreen support, this didn't guarantee that the interface would scale correctly. Sometimes the 4:3 GUIs would be stretched across the whole screen while the game itself is rendering properly. Trackmania United Forever had this problem where both the menus and HUD were stretched in widescreen. Sometimes it was just one aspect of the interface, like with Burnout Revenge on the Xbox 360, where the menus had the proper aspect ratio, but when actual gameplay, the HUD elements are stretched from 4:3 to 16:9. Flatout Ultimate Carnage had the opposite problem, where the menus were stretched from 4:3, but during gameplay, the HUD displayed correctly. Here's how a proper widescreen support is done. See how no visual information is lost when going to a wider aspect ratio? Some developers would crop the 4:3 image into a 16:9 format, meaning you would lose the top and bottom parts of the image. This was done to avoid performance loss, and the developers didn't have to worry about fixing anomalies that would happen off-screen. For example, with this Max Payne 2 clip, this game was only designed to run in 4:3, but this person is using a mod to get it to run in a proper 16:9 format. Notice that on the edges of the screen, certain props would disappear. In the 4:3 aspect ratio, these props would be off-screen so you wouldn't see them unload. While I would love to talk about each game's quirks individually, this is a general list of the issues that I've seen from game to game. With 16:9 now being the standard, these issues have faded away. 4:3 has become the minority, with many games now lacking options for 4:3 support or having poor implementation. It will be interesting to see if 16:9 is ever replaced by a wider aspect ratio, like 21:9, which is now struggling from the same issues 16:9 had back in the day. For now, 16:9 will be here to stay without any of the issues that plagued it before. That's the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed it, and have a nice day.